Good morning, students. This is your third unit. So, in this unit, you have the limitations and losses of conventional tubes. It is mainly here we are going to discuss about microwave tubes. In this unit, we are going to discuss about microwave tubes. So, here you are having limitations and losses of conventional tubes at microwave frequencies. So, what are the limitations of conventional tubes at microwave frequencies? O-type tubes, M-type tubes. In the O-type tubes, so we have two cavity klystron, multi-cavity klystron, and reflex klystrons, and helix TWTs, right? Helix TWTs. So we are going to discuss all these topics in this unit. First, we will see what are the limitations of conventional tubes at microwave frequencies. What are the limitations of conventional tubes at microwave frequencies? So at the microwave frequencies, the microwave tubes are used. At the microwave frequencies, the microwave tubes are used because they can provide higher output power, lesser noise, better reliability. So microwave tubes provide higher output power, lesser noise, and better reliability. And due to some characteristics, the conventional tubes and transistors are not used at high frequencies, at microwave frequencies. So due to some characteristics, the conventional tubes and transistors are not used at microwave frequencies. So first one is inter-electrode capacitance. Inter-electrode capacitance, lead inductance, gain bandwidth limitation, transit time effect, skin effect, and dielectric losses. So due to all these characteristics, the conventional tubes are not used at microwave frequencies. Okay. So at microwave frequencies, the microwave tubes are used because they can provide higher output power. So due to these characteristics, inter-electrode capacitance, lead inductance effect, gain bandwidth limitation, transit time effect, skin effect, dielectric losses, the conventional tubes are not used at high frequencies. Okay. So we will see what is inter-electrode capacitance. See here. The inter-electrode capacitance between the grid and cathode. So see the circuit diagram, CGK. See here. So CPG, CPK, CGK. These are the inter-electrode capacitance. The capacitance between inter-electrodes. The capacitance between the electrodes. So CPG, CPK, CGK. Okay. So these are the inter-electrode capacitances. The inter-electrode capacitance between the grid and the cathode in parallel with the signal source. In parallel with the signal source. Okay, CGK. See here, this capacitance is in parallel with the CGK. The capacitance between the grid and cathode. So that is this capacitance is in parallel with the signal source. Here the reactance is Xc equal to 1 by 2 pi Fc. Here the reactance is Xc equal to 1 by 2 pi Fc. Okay. If the inter-electrode capacitance decreases, the reactance of the inter-electrodes increases, right? If the inter-electrode capacitance decreases, the reactance increases. So if the frequency of the input signal increases, the effective grid to cathode impedance of the tube decreases because of a decrease in the reactance of the interelectrode capacitance. Right? So when the signal frequency is greater than 100 megahertz, the reactance of the grid to cathode capacitance is so small, so that much of the signal is short circuited with the tube. Why? Because the electrode capacitances are effectively in parallel with the tuned circuits. So here the interelectrode capacitance is minimized by using the smaller electrodes. The interelectrode capacitance is minimized by using the smaller electrodes and by increasing the distance between the electrodes. So how to minimize the interelectrode capacitance? So this effect is minimized by using the smaller electrodes. So if you choose the smaller electrodes, this effect can be minimized. And if you increase the distance between the electrodes, we can minimize the interelectrode capacitance. Okay. The reactance is Xc equal to 1 by 2 pi Fc. So if the interelectrode capacitance decreases, the reactance of the interelectrodes increases. Right? So this interelectrode capacitance is minimized by using the smaller electrodes or by increasing the distance between the electrodes. So next one is lead inductance effect. So here the lead inductance is in parallel with the interelectrode capacitance. The lead inductance is in parallel with the interelectrode capacitance. Here XL equal to 2 pi FL. If the lead inductance increases, the reactance of the circuit also increases. If the lead inductance increases, the reactance increases. The inductance of the cathode lead is common to both the grid and plate circuits. Here the inductance of the cathode lead is common to both the grid and plate circuits. So this provides a path for the degenerative feedback, which reduces the efficiency, the circuit efficiency. The lead inductance effect is minimized by using the larger sized short leads without base pins. So how to eliminate the lead inductance effect? So if you choose the larger sized short leads, this lead inductance effect can be minimized. So if you choose the larger size short leads without base pins, so then the lead inductance effect is minimized. Okay, that is the lead inductance effect. So next one is skin effect. What is skin effect? See here. So skin effect introduces at high frequencies. So there is at microwave frequencies. Skin effect introduced at microwave frequencies. So when the current flows from small cross-sectional area to outer surface of the conductor. So when the skin effect introduced, when the current flows from small cross-sectional area to outer surface of the conductor, the skin effect is introduced. Here delta I is the skin depth, Here delta is the skin depth. You can see the relation here. So if the frequency increases, the resistance of the conductor increases. If the frequency increases, the resistance of the conductor increases. So due to this higher frequency, the losses are produced. Okay. The skin depth delta equal to square root of 2 by so omega mu sigma. So next one is dielectric losses. Dielectric losses. So before this, so we have one more, transit time effect. Transit time effect. So what is transit time effect? So transit time is the time required for electrons to travel from the cathode to anode plate. Transit time is the time required for electrons to travel from the cathode to the anode plate. So here d is the distance between the two plates. So Ip is the plate current, V is the applied input voltage, and V0 is the output voltage. Okay. So transit time is the time required for electrons to travel from the cathode to the anode plate. So at low frequencies, the transit time effect is negligible. At low frequencies, the transit time effect is negligible because distance between anode and cathode is very small. Because distance between anode and cathode is very small. But at higher frequencies, the transit time is large. At low frequencies, transit time effect is low, and at higher frequencies, transit time effect is large. So next one is dielectric losses. Dielectric losses. So these are different insulating materials which are used as glass envelope, silicon, plastic, encapsulations in different microwave devices. So here the power loss is given by P equal to pi f V0 square epsilon r tan sigma. Epsilon r is relative permittivity of dielectric. So delta is loss angle of dielectric and P is the power loss. At higher frequencies, the power loss increases. At higher frequencies, the power loss increases. So to eliminate these losses, the surface area of glass should be decreased. So dielectric loss are the different insulating materials which are used as glass envelope. So at higher frequencies, the power loss increases. So to eliminate these losses, the surface area of the glass should be decreased. The surface area of the glass should be decreased. If the surface area of the glass is decreased, then the dielectric losses will be minimized. And the tube base should be eliminated. So here to eliminate these dielectric losses, the surface area of the glass should be decreased and the tube base should be eliminate. Okay, so these are the limitations of the conventional tubes at microwave frequencies. Limitations of the conventional tubes at microwave frequencies. So what are the limitations of conventional tubes at microwave frequencies? So inter-electrode capacitance, lead inductance effect, gain bandwidth limitation, transit time effect, skin effect, and dielectric losses. So due to these characteristics, the conventional tubes are not used at high frequencies. Okay. So next we will see klystron amplifiers. Two cavity klystron amplifiers. See here the construction is the circuit diagram of two cavity klystron amplifier. There are basically two types of microwave tubes. So O-type tubes and M-type tubes. O-type tubes and M-type tubes. If you see the difference between O-type tubes and M-type tubes, so O-type tubes are called linear beam tubes. Here the electron path is straight. The straight path taken by the electron beam. In the O-type tubes, the electron path is straight. Here the both velocity and density modulation takes place. Here it creates a bunching effect. Okay. So examples for the O-type tubes are the klystron and traveling wave tubes. So these are the microwave tubes. So basically there are two types of microwave tubes. O-type tubes and M-type tubes. So in the O-type tubes, the straight path is taken by the electron beam. Here both velocity and density modulation takes place and creating a bunching effect. So examples for O-type tubes are klystron amplifiers and traveling wave tube. And if we see the M-type tubes, here in the M-type tubes, electrons travel in a curved path. In the O-type tubes, electron travels in the straight path, but in the M-type tubes, electrons travel in a curved path. Here the electrons travel in a curved path in the M-type tubes. These are crossed field devices when the static magnetic field is perpendicular to the electric field. The examples of M-type tubes are magnetrons. The examples of M-type tubes are magnetrons. Okay. Now we will see what is klystron. Klystron is most widely used tube as amplifier at higher frequencies, at microwave frequencies. So klystron works on the principle of velocity and current modulation. Klystron works on the principle of velocity and current modulation. So there are two types of klystron tubes. One is two cavity or multi cavity klystron, and second one is reflex klystron. So two cavity or multi-cavity klystron is used as low power microwave amplifier. Two cavity or multi-cavity klystron is used as low power microwave amplifier, and the reflex klystron is used as low power microwave oscillator, right? So klystron is a microwave tube. It works on the principle of velocity modulation and current modulation. There are two basic configurations of klystron tubes: two cavity or multi-cavity and the reflex klystron. The two cavity or multi-cavity klystron is used as low power microwave amplifier. The reflex klystron is used as low power microwave oscillator. Okay. So it is the structure of the two cavity klystron amplifier. So it consists of cathode focusing electron beam. So two buncher grids separated by a very small distance, forming a gap of two catcher grids with a small gap followed by a collector. See here. So it consists of cathode. This is the cathode, and these two are the buncher cavity and the catcher cavity. Here the RF input is applied here. The space between buncher cavity and catcher cavity is called drift space. Okay. So a two cavity klystron amplifier consists of cathode focusing electrodes. See here. These are the focusing electrodes. It consists of cathode focusing electrodes, two buncher grids. Buncher cavity and catcher cavity. Here the electron beam passes gap A. Gap A in the buncher cavity. Here RF signal is amplified. See here, the RF signal is applied here. The RF signal is applied from the buncher cavity, and the electron beam passes gap A in the buncher cavity. So, and this electron beam is passes to, see here, this electron beam is passes to catcher cavity. So when an input is applied to the buncher cavity, an electron will pass gap A at the time when the voltage across the gap is 0. So and this electron is the reference electron. This electron is the reference electron Y. See here, this is the applique diagram for klystron amplifier. Here we are having, for example, here we are having 3 electrons X, Y, Z. We are having 3 electrons X, Y, Z. The reference electron is Y. So if you see the working, so what is the reference electron? Here the Y is the reference electron. So when an input is applied to the buncher cavity, an electron will pass gap A. When an input is applied to the buncher cavity, an electron will pass gap A at the time when the voltage across the gap is 0, and this electron is going positive. So that electron is called reference electron. That electron is called reference electron, Y. Here Y is the reference electron, and electron Z passes gap A slightly later than Y. See here, electron Z passes gap A slightly later than Y. So in the absence of gap voltage, both electrons would have continued past the gap with unchanged velocity, and electron X passes gap A slightly before the reference electron. Electron X passes gap A slightly before the reference electron, and it is the negative going. So here the electrons gradually bunch together as they travel down the drift space. The variation in electron velocity in the drift space is known as velocity modulation. So the variation in electron velocity, see here, so X electron, Y electron, Z electron, the velocity, the variation in velocity, the variation in electron velocity in the drift space is known as velocity modulation. So electron Y is the reference electron, and electron Z passes gap A slightly later than Y, and electron X passes gap A slightly before the reference electron, and it is the negative going electron, right? So the density of electrons in the second cavity gap varies cyclically with time. So such velocity modulation is not sufficient in itself for amplification by klystron. So while bunching of electrons, it exchanges energy with the slower electron, giving it some excess energy, and the two bunch together move with the average velocity of the beam. As the beam progresses further down along the drift space, the bunching becomes more complete as more and more of the faster electrons catch up with the bunches ahead. So it is the applique diagram for klystron amplifier. Okay, this is the two cavity klystron and the applique diagram. So with this, I am going to stop the presentation. Thank you.